They think they have you all figured out. They believe you'll always be there, always available, always eager, always chasing, always proving yourself. They see your presence as a guarantee, not a privilege. But what happens when you stop? What happens when you rewrite the rules and introduce them to a reality they never saw coming? Attraction isn't just about chemistry. It's about contrast, presence and absence, certainty and mystery, pursuit and distance. Yet most people never teach this lesson because they're too afraid of the outcome. They fear losing what they think they need. They assume that if they stop chasing, everything will fall apart. But the truth is, it's the ones who teach this lesson who become unforgettable. Those who step back, create space, and show they are unafraid to walk away. These are the ones who shift the entire dynamic. They don't beg for attention. They don't need validation. They move differently, and that difference forces others to take notice. It compels them to feel the weight of absence, to question their assumptions, and to realize that something they took for granted is slipping through their fingers. Here's the thing. People only value what they believe they can lose. The moment they feel your absence, the moment they sense that their hold on you is not as tight as they assumed, something shifts in their mind. They start second-guessing. They start chasing. Most never reach this point because they act out of fear. They cling too tightly, overcompensate and smother the very attraction they're trying to build. But those who understand this hard truth, those who master the power of distance, control the game without ever playing one. This isn't about manipulation. It's not about childish mind games or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about knowing your worth and having the discipline to show it. It's about understanding that if someone only values you when you're constantly proving yourself, they never valued you to begin with. They valued the effort you were putting in. So, what happens when that effort stops? What happens when you shift from chasing to being chased? By the end of this video, you'll know how to teach this lesson the right way. No tricks, no deception. Just a shift in mindset that will change the way they see you and make them realize exactly what they stand to lose. Stay with me until the end, because I'm going to reveal the most powerful lesson, the one that separates those who get chased from those who get forgotten. Trust me, once you understand this, you'll never look at attraction the same way again. If you're ready to step into this power, drop a comment below. I attract naturally. Let's make this a mindset, not just a lesson. Like this video, hit subscribe and turn on the bell icon so you never miss a lesson that puts you in control. Now, let's get started. 1. The tables turn when you shift your focus. Most people think they need to change how someone else feels. They believe that if they just say the right words, make the right move, or prove their worth, everything will fall into place. But the real shift, the one that flips everything upside down, starts with them. The moment they stop making someone else the center of their world, the power shifts. They don't need to convince anyone to want them. They don't need to beg for attention. They just need to show through action that they are perfectly fine without it. Marcus Aurelius said it best. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. This is where most get it wrong. They spend all their energy trying to control something that was never theirs to control. Another person's emotions, choices, or whether they come back, none of that is in their hands. But what is in their hands? how they carry themselves, how they react, whether they let absence shake their foundation or use it to build something greater. Now, here's where it gets interesting. When someone senses they are no longer the center of attention, when they realize that their approval is no longer the lifeline of another's happiness, something shifts in their mind. Questions start creeping in. Why aren't they chasing? Why aren't they reacting? Why does it suddenly feel like I'm losing them? That moment, when doubt enters their mind, is the same moment that changes everything. Because now they feel what was once felt on the other side. The uncertainty, the curiosity, the urge to get a response. It's not manipulation, it's just how human psychology works. The less available something is, the more valuable it becomes. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Wasting time trying to convince someone to see your value is the fastest way to drain energy. But when that time is invested in something real, growth, goals, peace and purpose, everything shifts. Picture this. Before, they would double text, check in, make sure everything was good, try to initiate plans and wait for a response. Now, they're out living, focused, dialed in, surrounded by good energy, working on something that actually matters, building something bigger than just one connection, present. And it doesn't go unnoticed. The difference is felt. The space that was once filled with endless effort is now filled with mystery. That's what makes people chase, because people don't chase what's easy, what's obvious, or what's always there. They chase what feels just out of reach. This is the hard lesson, one that most struggle to accept. When they stop prioritizing someone else more than themselves, they become the prize. They become the thing that was once taken for granted, but is now slipping away. The moment that realization hits, when they see they no longer have easy access, the dynamic flips. But here's the key. It's not about being cold, not about playing games, not about some fake act of indifference. It's about being unshaken. A person who values themselves enough to walk away when they aren't appreciated. A person who stands firm not because they're trying to get a reaction, but because they finally realized that chasing was never the answer. When that shift happens, they won't just notice the change, they'll feel it. And when they do, watch how they start chasing too. Unshaken minds draw all the attention. There's something irresistible about someone who is completely unbothered, not cold, not distant, just steady, unshaken, no matter what's happening around them. People can feel that energy from miles away. The moment they realize that their presence or absence doesn't shake you, something shifts in their mind. Doubt creeps in, questions start forming. Why aren't they reacting? Why do they seem so calm, so sure of themselves? What changed? The more those questions circle, the more they think about you. That's the power of detachment. It isn't about pushing anyone away. It's about standing firm at your own energy. So firm that others can't help but take notice. This is exactly what the Stoics meant when they spoke of being indifferent to externals. Epictetus once said, "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them." Most people crumble the moment they feel someone pulling away. They obsess, overthink, chase, and let someone else's choices dictate their own emotions. But the one who stays centered, the one who remains still when the world around them is shifting, stands out. It's not a trick. It's not some manipulative strategy. It's a quiet, unshakable confidence. A deep-rooted belief that peace doesn't come from external validation. It comes from within. Whether someone is all in, halfway out, or completely gone, it doesn't change anything. They're good either way. Think of it like this. Imagine walking into a room, a party, a crowded space. There are people trying to be noticed, trying to be the loudest, the funniest, the most impressive. But then there's one person standing calmly at ease, fully present, but not seeking attention. Who do you notice first? Who draws curiosity without even trying? It's always the one who doesn't need it, the one who isn't trying to prove anything. That's the energy people can't ignore. This is what most miss. They think attraction is about effort, about proving something, about chasing, about showing they care more. But the moment someone senses that effort comes from a place of need rather than choice, the effect fades. Desperation repels. Confidence, especially the kind that doesn't beg to be seen, is magnetic. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." And bravery, in this sense, means letting go of the need for external reassurance. It means standing in your own value, without looking over your shoulder, waiting for someone else to validate it. When you detach from the outcome, when you no longer seek to control who stays and who goes, you create a force that pulls people in naturally. Because here's the truth. People don't chase what's always available. They chase what feels rare. They chase what makes them wonder. Nothing creates that effect more than someone who is so grounded in themselves that the world could shift around them and they'd still be standing exactly where they are. That's the real power of detachment. It's not about making someone chase. It's not about pretending to care less. It's about reaching a level of confidence where you truly do care less. Not in a bitter way, not in a defensive way, but in a way that says, I am whole with or without you. And that's the moment everything changes. Not because you forced it, not because you played a role, but because you became something that people can't help but be drawn to. 3. Worth doesn't wait for approval. Here's the truth. Your value isn't dependent on anyone's attention. Whether they're texting non-stop or acting like you don't exist, it doesn't change who you are. You are already someone of value before they entered your life, and you'll still be valuable long after they're gone. Your worth isn't tied to their presence, their affection, or their approval. A strong mind understands this at its core. Confidence doesn't rise and fall based on how others treat them. Marcus Aurelius put it best: waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. The mindset isn't about convincing someone to see your worth. It's about being someone of worth. Everything else is just background noise. But this is where many get lost. The moment they meet someone they're drawn to, they hand over their sense of self. They start shifting, adapting, trying to match expectations, twisting themselves into whatever they think will be most appealing. But here's the hard truth. That energy doesn't attract, it repels. Why? Because it signals that they see someone else as the prize, while they're just waiting to be chosen. Flip that script. The real prize isn't someone's approval. It's the standards you hold, the purpose you pursue, the discipline you carry, and the way you show up in your own life, regardless of who's watching. That's what makes someone magnetic. Imagine two people. One is constantly seeking validation, adjusting their personality, their interests, their actions, hoping to be liked. The other is locked in, building something real, focused on their career, their fitness, their mindset. They wake up with purpose, not waiting for someone else to tell them they're enough. Which one stands out? It's always the one who doesn't need external validation to feel secure. That kind of self-assurance is rare. When someone meets a person like that, they can't help but wonder, why don't they need my approval? Why aren't they trying to impress me? What is it about them that makes them so solid, so sure of themselves? That curiosity, that spark, is where everything shifts. The chase doesn't start because of mind games or manipulation. It starts because they sense something different. They sense someone with an unshakable sense of self. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." And bravery, in this sense, means refusing to let external opinions define your worth. It's the ability to stand firm, knowing that validation from others is temporary, but self-respect is permanent. Think of it like this. A tree that bends with every gust of wind never grows strong roots, but a tree that stands tall, steady, unmovable, that's the one that commands presence. That's the one that becomes unignorable. The moment you fully accept this truth, that your value existed long before anyone noticed, is the moment everything changes. Not because you forced it, not because you played a role, but because you became someone they can't ignore. Because at the end of the day, people are drawn to those who know their worth, not the ones waiting for someone else to confirm it. 4. Silence is a weapon and a mirror. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Most people believe that words will fix everything. When they step back, when they remove themselves from someone's life, they create space. In that space, something powerful happens. It forces reflection. That silence isn't just emptiness, it's a mirror that makes the other person sit with their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own memories. Every laugh, every conversation, every moment of connection suddenly all comes rushing back, but this time without the reassurance of presence. This is the weight of absence. When someone is always there, always texting, always checking in, there's no room to feel their loss. But when they go quiet, when they withdraw completely, the silence becomes heavy. And in that silence, questions start forming. Why did they pull back? Why aren't they reaching out? Did they stop caring? It's a psychological shift. The ancient Stoics understood this well. They practiced negative visualization, imagining the loss of something to truly appreciate its value. This isn't punishment. It isn't about games. It's about clarity. It's about clarity. By stepping away, they aren't begging for attention. They're giving the other person an unfiltered look at what life feels like without them in it. Think of it like music. A song without pauses, without silence, is just noise. The power of melody comes from contrast, the space between the notes. The same is true in relationships. When someone is always available, their presence blends into the background. But when they step away, when they remove themselves, that silence becomes impossible to ignore. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." And here's the thing. Silence isn't just a test for them. It's a test for the one choosing it. Can they sit with their own strength? Can they trust their value without seeking constant validation? Can they hold their ground when every impulse is telling them to reach out? Because when they master that silence, everything changes. They stop being the one waiting for attention. They stop reacting. And in doing so, the power shifts. Suddenly, it's not them wondering what went wrong. It's the other person. This is the moment when perception changes, the moment when regret seeps in, The moment when someone starts to question if they misjudged, if they took something for granted, if they made a mistake. Because the hardest person to forget is the one who had the courage to walk away and the strength to stay silent. 5. Still waters run deep. Most people panic when they sense distance. They start overanalyzing every silence, replaying every conversation, convincing themselves they did something wrong. Before they know it, they're reacting, blowing up phones, sending emotional messages, desperately trying to force a response. But not you. You don't play that game. You stay calm. You don't chase, you don't beg, you don't perform tricks to win back attention. You just live your life, the same life that was valuable before they came along, the same life that keeps moving forward, with or without them in it. That unshakable calm is rare. It's the kind of energy most aren't used to, and because it's rare, it draws people in. Epictetus put it best. It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. Someone pulling away, going quiet, or testing your emotional control. That's not what breaks a person. What breaks them is how they react to it. Most people expose their insecurities the moment they feel ignored. They let their emotions take over. They grasp for control. But the ones who understand true strength recognize these moments for what they are. Just noise, just passing waves. It doesn't touch their sense of self-worth. And here's what happens when you hold that stillness. First, it confuses them. They expect a reaction. They expect questions, frustration, maybe even anger. That's what they're used to. People proving their worth through desperate attempts to hold on. But when you don't react, when you remain composed, something shifts in their mind. Why aren't they affected? Why do they seem so sure of themselves? Did I misread their interest? That confusion plants a seed, a curiosity, a pull, and second, it attracts. Because nothing is more intriguing than someone who can't be emotionally controlled. Someone who isn't triggered by silence or rejection. That kind of self-mastery is rare, and people can't help but be drawn to it. Picture this. A storm rages around you, chaos, uncertainty, emotional highs and lows. Most people get swept up in it, reacting to every shift in the wind, every distant thunderclap. But you are the calm eye in the center of it all, steady, unbothered, focused on what actually matters. That quiet confidence, that refusal to be rattled, is what sets you apart, and the beauty of it. You're not doing this to impress anyone. You're not putting on a show. You're not acting indifferent just to get a reaction. You do it because you truly value your own peace more than someone else's approval. That's Stoicism in action, mastering yourself so nothing external can master you. And when you embrace that calm, watch what happens. They come looking for the storm they expected, only to find someone they can't shake, someone they can't control. And that's when the real chase begins. 6. What's rare becomes irresistible. Whatever is rare becomes valuable. It's human nature. When something is always available, it fades into the background, taken for granted, unnoticed. But the moment it becomes scarce, the moment access is no longer guaranteed, desire intensifies. The same principle applies to attention. If it's handed out freely without thought, it loses its impact. But when it's given with intention, reserved for those who genuinely respect it, the entire dynamic shifts. This is where most people get it wrong. They overextend. They make themselves endlessly available. They respond instantly, rearranging their schedules, prioritizing someone else's presence over their own purpose. In doing so, they dilute their own value. But those who understand true worth move differently. They recognize that time, energy, and focus are their most valuable assets. Because of that, they protect them. They don't waste them on those who don't appreciate them. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Your mind will take the shape of what you frequently hold in thought." If all thoughts revolve around someone else, obsessing over their actions, waiting for their next move, making them the center of the world, energy follows that direction. The more available that energy becomes, the less valuable it appears. But what happens when the priority shifts? When attention is no longer freely given, when it's no longer expected, that's when scarcity takes effect. That's when absence is felt. That's when the mind starts questioning, why aren't they always around anymore? Why does it feel like I'm losing something I once had? Picture it. Before, they could reach out at any time and receive an instant response. They always had reassurance, always had access, always had attention on demand. But now, they're met with silence, delayed replies, a presence that no longer lingers, no longer waits. Not because of a game, not because of manipulation, but because there's something more important, life itself, growth, purpose, fulfillment beyond validation. When they do get that attention, it carries weight. It's no longer routine. It's no longer expected. It's meaningful because it's not given to just anyone. That's the lesson of scarcity. It's not about withholding affection to control someone else. It's about valuing oneself enough to be intentional about where energy is placed. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Wasting time trying to prove worth to those who don't naturally see, it is the fastest way to lose sight of true purpose. People don't chase what's always in front of them. They chase what they feel slipping away, what they once had but no longer do. And that's the shift. When time and attention become something precious, something not easily given, they start being treated as such. Because deep down, no one wants something that's too easy. They want something that holds meaning, something that must be earned, not someone who is always waiting, but someone so locked into their own purpose that when they do give time, it actually matters. That's the kind of presence no one wants to lose. 7. Respect isn't requested, it's commanded. Weak minds explain, strong minds enforce. Most people believe they need to justify their boundaries as if they owe someone an explanation for why they won't tolerate certain behavior. They say things like, "I just don't like it when you do that," or "I really wish you wouldn't treat me this way." But those who truly respect themselves don't ask for respect. They embody it. They don't explain their standards. They live them. If a line is crossed, there's no debate, no argument, no pleading, no emotional outburst, no long speech about self-worth. They simply step back. There's no need for drama, no need for negotiation, because when actions do the talking, words become unnecessary, and that commands respect. Epictetus said it best. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. That's the energy to carry. People don't respect words, they respect consistency. If someone senses that what you say and what you do don't align, they won't take you seriously. But if they see that you actually follow through, that when you say you won't tolerate disrespect, you actually walk away, that is what makes them feel the weight of your presence. Here's the truth. People don't respect those who fold at the first sign of resistance. They respect those who stand firm, who don't let emotions dictate their decisions, who are perfectly willing to walk away rather than compromise their self-worth. That kind of self-assurance is rare, and what's rare becomes valuable. Think of a fortress. A fortress doesn't beg outsiders to respect its walls. It simply enforces them. If someone tries to break in, the doors don't open wider. They close. That's how personal boundaries should be. No explanations, no desperate attempts to be understood. Just quiet, unwavering enforcement. And here's where it gets interesting. When boundaries are upheld without explanation, something shifts in the other person's mind. They start wondering, why didn't they react? Why didn't they argue? Did I just lose them? That uncertainty is powerful because it forces reflection. It makes them reevaluate, not because they were told to, but because they felt the shift. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." And bravery, in this sense, is the courage to hold the line, to say, "This is where I stand," and not move an inch when tested. It's to show, not tell. Respect isn't built on words. It's built on presence, on action, on the quiet confidence of someone who doesn't need to convince anyone of their worth. When that level of self-respect is embodied, everything changes. And not because of a game, not because of manipulation, but because respect is the foundation of all attraction. Without it, nothing else matters. 8. Walking away speaks volumes. Most individuals fear losing someone they desire so much that they cling with desperate intensity. They overcompensate, hold on, even when they sense the other is drifting away, and scramble to explain themselves or prove their worth. They believe that if they try harder, if they send more messages or rearrange every detail of their life, the other will eventually see their value. Yet this fear-driven attachment has the opposite effect. It makes the other feel in control, able to come and go at will while you remain there, waiting and desperate. You, however, are different. You have embraced the Stoic mindset and the philosophy of Amar Fati, the love of fate. You understand that resistance to what is only brings more suffering. If the person you care about wants to walk away, you let them. If they lose interest, you don't fight for something that isn't meant for you. A person who truly values themselves knows they don't need to convince anyone to stay. Walking away isn't a sign of weakness. It's a demonstration of strength, strength that is as rare as it is powerful. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Accept whatever comes to you woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs?" This isn't a call for passive acceptance, but a reminder that every experience is part of a larger design. When you step away, you are not capitulating to fear. You are embracing life as it is meant to be lived, with dignity, calm, and self-assurance. Imagine a mighty oak standing firm amidst a raging storm. While others might bend and break under the force of the wind, the oak remains rooted, its branches unwavering. That oak is like you. When you walk away, you refuse to be uprooted by the transient whims of someone else's affection. Instead, you let the natural course of life take its shape. In doing so, you not only protect your own peace, but also create an aura of irresistible allure. When you show that you are perfectly fine without clinging to someone's presence, that quiet detachment shifts everything. Suddenly, the fear of loss is no longer yours. It becomes theirs. They begin to wonder, what if I misjudged them? What if walking away from something real was the right choice? That realization ignites a spark of regret and uncertainty. It plants a seed of doubt in the mind of the one who once took your presence for granted. Consider the paradox of desire. A person who feels needed will do almost anything to hold on. But a person who chooses you without needing you holds all the power. It's like a rare gem that shines brighter when kept secure, rather than one constantly exposed to the elements. Your value is not determined by how much you are pursued, but by how firmly you stand by your own worth. In moments when they test you, when they pull away or throw subtle challenges your way, do nothing. Stand firm. Let your silence speak. When you remain unshaken, you force them to confront their own feeling. They start to ask themselves, why aren't they reacting? Why did they simply walk away? That uncertainty is potent. It compels them to reevaluate what they once had and what they stand to lose. It's important to understand that walking away is not about playing games or being dismissive. It's about honoring the value you already possess. You are not negotiating your worth or pleading for validation. Instead, you are saying, with quiet determination, I am complete in myself. That clarity of self is magnetic. It draws people in, not because you force it, but because they cannot help but notice it. As you let go without begging, you demonstrate a profound lesson. True strength lies in self-respect and in the willingness to accept what life offers without clinging to the fleeting. Much like the sun that rises and sets without chasing the horizon, you honor the natural rhythm of life. You know that if someone is truly meant to be part of your journey, they will be there, not because you held on, but because your presence was worth cherishing. This approach might raise questions in your mind. You may wonder, what if I lose someone I care about? What if walking away means losing something valuable? The answer lies in understanding that true value is never diminished by distance. If someone is meant to be in your life, they will return. If they are not, no amount of chasing will bring them back. Your worth is intrinsic, woven into the very fabric of who you are, independent of another's actions or affections. In the grand tapestry of relationships, the power to walk away is the power to command respect and to cultivate an environment where both parties appreciate what is truly valuable. When you embody that strength, you transform the dynamics entirely. What once was a fearful grip becomes a graceful exit, a reminder that the strongest bonds are built on mutual respect, not on dependency or neediness. Now consider this. If you are willing to walk away without hesitation, you become the person others will always want to follow. You set a standard of self-respect that resonates deeply, a beacon for those who understand that love, at its best, should never feel like a chain, but rather a choice made freely by two whole individuals. If you're ready to embrace this powerful truth and cultivate the strength to walk away when necessary, share your journey. Let the world know that you choose a path of dignity and inner peace, a path where you command respect without ever having to ask for it. Leave a comment saying, I choose strength, and subscribe for more insights on living a life anchored in self-respect. 9. Absence makes the mind wander. People often say absence makes the heart grow fonder, but the truth is far more powerful. Absence makes the mind go wild. Absence makes the mind go wild. When someone steps back, when they remove their presence from another person's daily life, something fascinating happens. Without that constant reassurance, without the distraction of constant availability, the mind starts to fill the silence. It begins imagining scenarios, replaying memories and amplifying what was once ordinary into something extraordinary. Think of it this way. When someone is always around, always accessible, their presence becomes ordinary, easily overlooked. It blends into the background, becoming just another part of everyday life. But remove them from that picture, and suddenly the emptiness they leave behind becomes impossible to ignore. Like a painting with a missing color, the absence becomes strikingly noticeable. In that void, the imagination takes over, creating visions far more vivid, far more intriguing than reality ever was. This phenomenon is rooted deeply in human psychology. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." This quote hints at the very essence of why absence is so powerful. When reality is removed, imagination fills in the blanks, and imagination always paints a more vivid picture than reality ever could. Now imagine someone who once took your presence for granted, someone who always assumed you'd be there, waiting patiently. Suddenly, you withdraw. You're no longer reachable, no longer constantly checking in, no longer trying to remind them of your worth. Instead, you are confidently living your own life, focused entirely on your own growth and purpose. You've stepped into your solitude with dignity and calmness. At first, they might believe it's just a game, perhaps a tactic to get their attention. But soon they realize the truth. You're genuinely gone. Not waiting in the background, not plotting a return, but genuinely moving forward. And that's the moment the tables turn. They begin questioning themselves. Did I underestimate their value? Did I lose something truly significant? This is the moment of uncertainty, the moment where doubt creeps in. Seneca said, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." It takes courage to remain absent, to withstand the urge to reach out prematurely. Most people can't handle that uncertainty. They fold quickly, break their silence, and reach out with anxious urgency, desperate to regain validation. But the one who can remain steadfast in their absence, the one who embraces solitude and peace without wavering, stands apart. Consider a garden. A gardener who constantly waters and nurtures a plant creates dependence. The plant never worries about drought because it's always nurtured, always cared for. But if that gardener suddenly stops watering, the plant feels the weight of that absence. It struggles, and eventually it begins seeking out roots deeper into the earth, craving the nourishment it once easily received. That's what happens in the human mind when someone important disappears. Absence prompts deeper thought, stronger emotions, and a more profound appreciation for what was once readily available. Yet this isn't about manipulation or bitterness. It isn't about punishing or creating artificial scarcity. It's about genuinely valuing oneself enough to walk away without resentment. When you step away without bitterness or anger, you embody an authentic power. A power that comes from genuine self-worth and self-respect. Epictetus put it beautifully. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. You can't control another's reactions or feelings, but you can control your own actions and your ability to gracefully step aside. By exercising that freedom, by removing yourself without explanation or resentment. You showcase your strength and self-control. That strength, that quiet yet powerful calm, resonates deeply with those left behind. The one who is absent without bitterness becomes unforgettable, precisely because they're different from everyone else. They refuse to play the common game of chasing attention or desperately proving their worth. Instead, they silently demonstrate their value by the void they leave behind. The more that void is felt, the more powerful the absence becomes. They start to wonder, what changed? Why did I ever let someone so valuable slip away? Suddenly, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. The taken for granted becomes something profoundly missed. Me. When your absence is not a calculated move, but a genuine embrace of your independence and peace, it sparks a powerful shift in perception. It triggers reflection and often regret. It shifts the dynamic from being chased to being the one sought after, because deep down people are naturally attracted to strength, independence, and self-respect, the very qualities embodied by the ability to walk away without needing reassurance. This is why the absence of a truly confident individual is never simply forgotten. Instead, it lingers, grows, and eventually becomes magnetic. The silence speaks louder than any words ever could, echoing endlessly in the minds of those who once took it for granted. When someone finally understands the power behind genuine absence, they stop fearing it. They start embracing it as one of the strongest expressions of self-respect and emotional maturity. And when that happens, absence transforms from an empty space into an irresistible presence, one that draws others back, wondering if they ever should have left in the first place.